Per 9000's game room.
Okay, so this is the Rocketeer. The game starts and what I am met with is nothing like I imagined in my head. Now, I thought this game would be a 2D R-type style shoot 'em up where I flew from left to right as the Rocketeer, saving the day, and instead here I am flying a yellow, what looks like crop dusting plane against a red and blue plane, round and round pillars in a race. The controls are clunky at best and things seem to favour the AI controlled planes. If I hit them it sends me towards the ground. If they hit me the same thing happens, I head towards the ground. Me? Why? I failed to finish the race time and time again. I just can't seem to manage the 10 laps, but I push on with this and I hope that just maybe somehow I can learn something, I can get better, and then I'll get the glorious treat of seeing my character strap on the Rocketeer's rocket pack and I'll be swooshing around, shooting things, and it'll be so much better. Well, eventually I finished the race, but in second place, and I'm shown the same failure screen I've been met with so many times before. But I try again and again, spurred on by the hope of something better. Eventually I finish first and I scream into the heavens in triumph, "Rocket pack, here I come!" But no, I'm robbed. I'm back in the plane racing again. But this time I need to complete 15 laps, not 10. Another hour passes, I get better at managing the 10 sort of laps, but I can't manage 15, so I'm stuck. I press reset and I leave the machine in the hope it will play a gameplay demo, so I can at least see what future stages look like, so that I can see something that will renew my hope, that will push me on to do more. So I watch with bated breath and the first thing it shows me is just what I've been doing myself, a little yellow crop duster flying around and around. Then I wait and I wait a little longer and finally I see the Rocketeer, and what is he doing? He's flying around and around the same course with the same blooming other planes, and I think, wow, really? This is when I simply give in. I decide the game might change, you might finish one race, you might get the rocket pack, but who wants to see more of this? But then eventually I find a cheat code, a level select. And I go on and I play a game which is basically a crude Operation Wolf. You're the Rocketeer and you're shooting enemies that come up. And yeah, this is a lot better than the plane bit, but it's still not great for a SNES game. And then I just decide I can't see any more of this. I got this game in a lot of 4 Japanese games for £10 and that kind of seems too expensive. I won't claim I'm the first person to say this, that honour goes to Dara O'Brien of Mock the Week fame. But here's a quote. "Video games are the only form of media which withholds content from its users unless they are good enough at it. A book or film has never quizzed anyone or made them pass a test to be allowed to continue reading or watching." When I first heard him say this, it didn't quite make sense. After all, it's the challenge that makes video games what they are, is it not? Now I've flown around this course 300 times, it makes perfect sense. When I reviewed fellow movie licence Hook, I said how good it was that Tinkerbell just flew in, sprinkled with fairy dust, and got rid of the need for levels which would have featured a boring, powerless Peter Pan. And that by playing fast and loose like that with the source material, they got a better game at the end of it. Well, this kind of treatment would have been very welcome with the Rocketeer. Just skip the dull plane flying and racing and slap him in the suit from the start, from stage 1, aka straight away. The graphics are about as basic as you can get on the SNES, and I can say pretty much the same about the sound. I haven't mentioned them until now, as even if this was the best 16-bit game I'd ever seen or heard, it would not make up for the really awful gameplay. Another thing that annoyed me, that really brought my piss to the boil, is the 2-player mode. I foolishly thought that maybe you'd race against each other, but no, it's one of those you watch me play a life then I watch you games. A further annoyance is that despite the 2-player mode being a take-turns variety, it still expects you to have 2 joypads. If it's only one at a time, then have a system where you can pass the pad backwards and forwards, why not? Overall, I have to give the game 2 out of 10, it's just blah. I already mentioned what I paid, so how much would you have to pay if you fancy being a video game masochist? Well, there doesn't appear to be any PAL versions as far as I can find, but if you go on eBay you can get a Japanese cart for about £5, but again you'll need a foreign console, or a modified machine, or a converter, and you'll need a lack of self-preservation. I recommend you don't bother. In fact, I'm going to go so far as to recommend a more modern game which you can get much cheaper. A game which I think represents the idea of being a Rocketeer so much better than this piece of excrement. This game is Dark Void. Sure, it's not exactly a Rocketeer game, but you fly a rocket pack, you have a helmet on. It didn't get brilliant reviews, but I really enjoyed it, and it's now super cheap. I've seen it go for like £2, and although it's not going to be considered a classic and not everybody raves about it, it's something I consider a bit of a flawed gem. And it certainly has a much better idea of what it's like to be a superhero shooting around in a rocket pack than this game could even dream of. Okay, that's Kerr9000 signing off, saying keep on gaming.